什么样的孩子适合创意写作？
Creative writing refers to a literary category of writing whose goals include telling stories, reflecting on aspects of life experience in a complex way. But the first, number one, most important factor, more important than language test scores, more important than grades, is that a student genuinely enjoys and is excited about creative writing. And that can come through in a lot of different ways. I work with some students who just get started writing independently. They write some poems or they write their stories. Very easy to tell, right? That's going to be a creative writing type of student. Other students might try creative writing in a classroom activity. They might really enjoy it. You might have a child who really likes telling stories with their friends, or maybe their friends and them create some stories in other formats like comics. That shows a student who has some creative writing acumen and interest already. Finally, of course, we have students who really love reading and really want to create stories like the ones that they enjoy. That's a really good starting point. Or a child who wants to improve their writing, but is getting a little frustrated with the structure of academic essays. These are often students where we recommend they give creative writing a try because there's more room for that kind of outside of the box thinking and that personal touch. We also often notice that creative writing students are often a bit empathetic. They're curious about what others are thinking. And a lot of our creative writing students are interested in psychology or social issues. And those are topics that they get to explore in a novel way through creative writing.
创意写作会不会影响商科、医科申请？
So the short answer is no, not at all. Because I also work on the college application side of things, I get to see firsthand how some of our students, including some of our STEM students, benefit from having a creative writing side to their applications. There's a lot of ways that creative writing can be tied into students' academic interests. And it can also show well-roundedness, right? It can show that this is not a student who just does one thing, but is capable of looking at a topic through a lot of different angles, including that more creative writing humanistic way. So a student from our last application cycle, he was interested in biology and psychology. Those were his prospective majors. But he didn't write his Common App essay about that. He wrote it about some stories that he had written inspired by his interest in gender equality and social justice. So that showed a different side of his application than his transcript, his activities list. So they really got to know that student's mind in a unique way. He had a really strong application, and I'm happy to say he's headed to NYU in the fall. I'd be happy to just briefly share my own personal experience. So when I was applying to Yale, my alma mater, I actually thought I was going to be a biology major. I'd done a bunch of different AP sciences in high school. But when I researched the school, I noticed that they had a very strong interdisciplinary focus. And in a lot of the student profiles of some of their highlighted students, it would often be an academic interest paired with an artistic passion. So I wanted to reflect that in my own application. So I wrote my Common App essay about a literary magazine that I started with some of my friends in high school. And I think that added like another aspect to my application as well, similar to my students. So I can speak from personal experience as well, that creative writing experience is an asset regardless of major.
家长或者说同学们，比如说他可能相对来说对另一门语言有多少自己的一个掌握的话呢，大家就会知道每一个语言它有自己的一个表达习惯，以及他需要去掌握的一些技巧还有小规则啊。所以说呢，对于这个用英文写作的这个孩子的话呢，他实际上是同时可以在掌握两种规则，那么他是能够去展现出更高的一个诗意，更高的一个创造性的。
如何在家培养创意写作的兴趣？
Yeah, absolutely. So a great way for creative writing students to get started and lay that strong foundation is by reading creative works. And if they're interested in writing in English, they should read some creative writing works in English as well. And that can really help build vocabulary and fluency. Now, when students are reading, they're not just reading the way that they might for their literature class, where they want to find out what happens in a story, or just reading for their own enjoyment. But they should also start to read like writers, meaning they should start to ask questions about how a story is put together, how a story is structured, what kind of style and voice it has, how an author is making decisions around characterization and plot and setting. And those are all lessons that they can take and apply to their own writing. Beyond reading, the even more important thing is to practice and to write. For any student, creative writing is a really fantastic way to develop their English skills because it lets them write outside of the very particular style of academic writing and kind of actually write the way people speak in English. The other most important thing for students is to revise, to not just treat a completed piece as complete and we don't think about it anymore, but actually try out some new things, try different versions. What I recommend to students is thinking of revision not as fixing something that is wrong, but experimenting with what you have to make it stronger. And that's how you learn how your choices impact the finished product. Students can also give feedback to one another and work with other people's writing if they have friends who share their interests. That is the workshop model, which is the core of most English language creative writing curricula.
顶尖下校在看什么？案例复盘。
So the most important thing that these summer programs are looking for is genuine passion and interest. So they want students who don't just do a creative writing assignment when it comes into the classroom, but students who really love writing and pursue it on their own outside of the classroom, whether in structured ways like extra classes or literary magazines or programs, or genuinely just in an unstructured way on their own. So the primary thing that they're looking for is a student who is self-motivated in creative writing. Now, we work with students on applications for three main programs, which are the three kind of most prestigious and reliable creative writing summer programs in the United States. They are Iowa, Kenyon, and Sewanee. For Iowa and Sewanee, the application has two parts. There is a writing portfolio demonstrating the student's creative writing ability and a statement of purpose, which is a chance for the student to put their writing in context and talk about their relationship with writing and their goals for the program. And then Kenyon is a bit shorter. They just ask for that statement of purpose. The most important thing about the writing portfolio is that it takes some time. We're also choosing based on originality. We want pieces where students are taking creative risks and not just kind of writing the same old story that people have read before. Yeah, I'd love to. So my student who was accepted to the Iowa residential program for the summer, and just to give you an idea of how selective that program is, so I started working with her actually about a year ago, last summer, for that application many months later. And we started out working on some pieces for a couple of different competitions, for a New York Times memoir writing competition, and for Scholastic, where she ended up submitting two different fiction pieces, one of which won a Silver Keith. And we ended up taking a couple of those fiction pieces and turning them into her portfolio. Now, an interesting thing is we included a piece that did not win an award. And the piece that did win an award, we ended up revising it extensively in order to expand it because it was pretty short. The reason I made that selection and encouraged her to do so was because even though one of those pieces didn't win an award, it showed a really original voice. It was really distinctive. It was really funny. And it showed that she was someone who was able to balance humor and seriousness, which is a very distinctive quality for a young writer to have. So I encouraged her to put that piece in the portfolio, even though it didn't win an award. And ultimately, it worked out for her. So her portfolio showed her range, right? She could be funny. She could be very serious and reflective. It showed a willingness to experiment with different kinds of styles or ideas. And she wrote a really exceptional personal statement where she spoke about those two pieces in particular and put them in the context of her personal development and how writing is a part of that. So some of the things that she did right, which I would advise to all students, one is that ongoing writing process. She was willing to revise a piece, even though it had already won something. She was willing to work hard on pieces throughout the year. And she was willing to take some risks, try something a little bit different, And finally, her whole application showed very clearly that this was a student with a genuine love of creative writing for its own sake, exactly what they're looking for. So we offer a range of creative writing courses for all skill levels. We have classes specifically for fiction writing and specifically for poetry writing, for introductory students all the way up to experienced writers that are going to give them something closer to a college level experience. We also offer a personal storytelling class, which I designed. That's focused on personal narrative writing and oral storytelling. So spoken presentation, where students get to learn how to craft and tell to others a story about themselves in the style of an American radio show called The Moth. We also offer more specific help with competitions and summer applications. So if your child has a piece that they've already written and they want to revise it for a competition, that's something that we offer. So instead of doing like the full course package, we can offer, however many classes we think that you will need to revise that piece and get it ready to submit. So everything is one-on-one. So for students who are beginning, a pathway that I recommend is starting with one of our creative writing project-based learning classes at whatever level is best for them. And we can help you determine that, by the way. Then they can take a piece that they've written in that class and prepare it to submit to a competition. And from there, they can think about applying to one of these great summer programs.